So what is today's video going to be about? I know. A lot of people ask me this question. How do I get so much reading done, or how do I stay motivated towards something that is, a sit down activity, needs a lot of focus and determination. And a lot of people find it hard to continue reading a lot, which is like another topic in itself. But what I wanted to touch on about today is, if you can't read all the books in the world, and I know the internet is full of them, books you should read in your 20s, books you should read in your 30s, books you should never miss in your lifetime, all of these things, but you cannot read all of them, and maybe you are just beginning on this journey of reading and you don't know any better and you're finding it very overwhelming to pick any one book. So here are 3 books that I feel you should not miss this year. These are only 3 books. If you don't find the time to read any other books, make sure you make time for these ones. Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Pooja and I hope you guys are doing good. I know I am. After about 7 or 8 days, a week or so, the sun is finally out, and I thought it's a good time to make a video. It has been a while I did one of these sit down videos. As a matter of fact, I shot one of these and I'm a little bit nervous. I don't know how well this is going to come out, but here goes nothing. I wanted to do a video like this earlier, just to kickstart January for people, but things got in the way and I wasn't able to shoot it, but here we are now. I'm guessing by the time this video comes out, it would be early Feb, and it would still be a time where you can make a reading list for yourself and add these books to your list, be encouraged or motivated by them, and hopefully when you look back at 2023 towards the end months, you would find that you got something out of these books. The first book on the list is Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. Now this is a book that I read years back, and it had such an positive impact in my life even then. This is a non-fiction book, and back then I was not into reading that much, and I was not into reading a lot of non-fiction books. I found this off my boyfriend's shelf and he highly recommended it to me. I'm so happy I did that because my life was never the same again. Years later, like just last year in 2023, I became an active reader, and I also read one of Murakami's similar memoir, when I talk about running, early January last year, and both of them sort of came together for me and I took the plunge to start running again. I was setting this book up in my Kindle for my sister just maybe last night, and I had this urge to read this book again because it has been a while I read it, and I think I'm gonna read it again this year. As I hinted before, this is a memoir by Phil Knight, the founder of Nike, and Nike being such a popular brand, like everyone knows its name, and it started off as a startup. So for people who look up to other startups, this is one of those very successful startups, but the founder's life has always been a mystery. In this book, he starts off by telling how at 24 he decides to backpack across Europe, take a gap year, and that's what he does. After coming back from it, he borrows like $50 from his father to start a business of his own, a business of high quality shoes that he gets imported from Japan. Japan at that time, and even now, they had a good pipeline of making high quality shoes, which was missing from something that was missing in the States. That's what he did. He procured them and he set up his whole pipeline, and how he went bankrupt a few times. All throughout these years, it was running that kept him sane and that motivated him, and he had a vision to change the sports industry. That is what he did. Like Nike today sponsors a lot of athletes and sports events, and it just changed the shape of how we look at sports. like fun and active, and something that can be inculcated in everyone's life. That is what Nike did. And with this book, we get a lot of insights into his mind and his never deterring will to make things happen. And that's what happened in the end. For all of your benefits, I am going to read a line from the book and you would get an idea what I'm talking about. Like books, sports give people a sense of having lived other lives. Like books, sports give people a sense of having lived other lives, of taking part in other people's victories and defeats. When sports are at their best, the spirit of the fan merges with the spirit of the athlete. So there you have it. What it embodies is just the spirit of doing that thing can engulf both the athlete and the one who is just a spectator and get motivated, right? So it has an over-encompassing effect on anything and everything around it. Second book on the list is Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari. You would again find me talk about this book at length with people and recommending it every opportunity I get. This was one of the books that got reviewed on my page, on my Instagram page, A Book by the Window, and I remember after reading it, I had this sudden urge to talk about it, and I was sitting in a cab and I was going to some place with my friends, and I had a little notebook with pencil on, and I was just scribbling what I'm going to write on my first post and what are my thoughts, and I was just reviewing it with so much diligence, and that means that this book moved me in more ways than one. I borrowed this book from a colleague at work, and I remember I had to return it in like a week or so because there were other people who wanted that book so bad, and it is like a 550 pages book, and I was so quick about it, kept reading through it, and it was just not the fact that I had to return it early, it was also that it's so interesting and exciting, and it quenched my curiosity so much. It also opened up my mind to so many questions at the same time, and I was never the same person again. I'll read a quote from the book. History is something that very few people have been doing while everyone else was plowing fields and carrying water buckets. This statement is apt in every way possible, for that is what the book talks about. There are people in the history that are writing history, that shapes the form of history, and then there are other human beings on planet who don't talk about their history, but they are still very much a part of the history of humans, and this book is about history of humans. How around 100,000 years ago we were around 6 species of homos, but now we are only Homo sapiens. And have you ever wondered that all other animals have different species but not humans? We are just one species. How did that happen? We essentially extinct all other species, and it was always a survival of the fittest for us. And how different things in history shaped the course of humans, how it made them one of the most powerful species in the world, that we control all other species now. And at the end, we are not that special. We are just organism made out of, biology of how reproduction works. And we found our way somehow in this universe, and we very randomly made it through here, because a couple of decisions over the course of history propelled us towards being one of the strongest species, and there is nothing special in us. The third book that I'm going to talk about is not a non-fiction. Oh no, sorry, it is a non-fiction, but it almost feels like a fiction because it's fun and entertaining, and it's also very motivating. It is a memoir in one sense, but when I read it, I did not feel like it's a memoir. I almost felt like I'm watching a sitcom where each chapter is like an episode in itself, and I found myself laughing through it all. The book that I'm talking about is Trevor Noah's Born a Crime: Stories from His Childhood. if you don't know Trevor Noah, he's a very popular comic and a stand-up comedian from South African descent, and he has made his way through being a very popular mainstream stand-up comedian in the States. To quote from the book, I don't regret anything I've ever done in life, any choice that I've made, but I'm consumed with regret for the things I didn't do, the choices I didn't make, the things I didn't say. We spend so much time being afraid of failures, afraid of rejection. But regret is the thing we should fear most. Failure is an answer, rejection is an answer. Regret is an eternal question you will never have the answer to. What if? If only. I wonder what would have. You will never know. And it would haunt you for the rest of your days. This book is about Trevor Noah's unlikely path that was incepted when he was born. He was born as a crime to a white Swiss father and a South African mother at the time of apartheid, when such a union was punishable by offense. So in his early years, he was kept away from the public by his mother, and his mother had such an unconventional love for this boy. And yet, you know how Southeast Asian moms are, they would whack you and they'll scold you, they'll find it like it's their birthright to set you straight. That is what his mother was like, and he talks at length about growing up in a poor society and laughing their ways of it. It is just an account of the author's attempt to maneuver his way through a damaged world with much wit and humor. And if you look at it, it just brings such a positive outlook in your life, seeing someone going through so many troubles and yet trying to make something funny out of it. And because that sometimes help, right? I get asked some weird questions like, why do you smile all the time? Would you rather have me cry all the time? Sometimes life gets tough and you fake it, or you try to ease out, make the situation light by cracking a joke. And all of these coping mechanisms are valid in their own sense. And that's what he did. He turned his misery into something very positive and something that motivates everyone around him, lightens up the mood, and he made a career out of it. He's very popular now, and that's just so encouraging to read, is what I would tell you. So that's it. That is the end of the video. These are the list of books that I would recommend you read in 2023. If only you have time to read 3 books, or even if you have time to read 1. If you like this video, I would highly appreciate if you would support my channel by liking this video or subscribing to it or sharing it with your friends. And if you want to do all 3 of them, I would love it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope all of you have a good day and very nice rest of the year. Bye bye.